Masquera Mre Zimbabwe, welcome to our channel Zimcotrations and Deep Secrets. Kana kariki kutanga kukuya panino channel, please don't forget to subscribe. Kana uchikwaka waka subscribe, don't forget to comment and share this video. Nasi Mre Zimbabwe takwigirai nyaya yaburitswa the political party yuri kutungamirwa na YaJob Sikhala the NDWG yabuda ichi accuser Sadc nekuda kwekuignore its own report on Zimbabwe's 2023 general elections. Yabuda he described the upcoming Sadc summit. The upcoming Sadc summit vachitaura ivo vachiti meeting hima hypocrites ayo ari kunyepera kuva peaceful Zimbabwe, but all of them they undermine democracy in Zimbabwe. The National Democratic Working Group statement on Sadc summit yabuda vachitaura ivo vachiti they are representing the political parties ese, and they are also representing the civic organizations, the church, the trade associations, Mao veterans, the youth student unions, and individuals across the country. Abuda. The assumption of the chairmanship of Sadc by Emerson Mnangagwa, although coincidental through its rotational being itself acquired through no act of merit, is wrong and inappropriate, whilst Sadc is still addressing the legitimacy issue arising from the elections of August 2023, which were condemned as either fair, credible, nor free, or neither conforming to Sadc guidelines on elections by the Sadc's own instrument for the observation of the same or its member states. So the assumption of the chairmanship is happening in a tense environment characterized by intimidation, harassment, death threats, wanton arrest of opposing political parties and civic activities, and increased closure of democratic space in the worst member state. And the Sadc summit is continuing against a background of threats by army commanders to force the electorate to vote against its will in future elections. Sadc ought to be disturbed and moved to respond to such careless, reckless, and disturbing utterances that are sure to ignite despondency and instability. And the Sadc summit is an unnecessary burden for a country that is completely on its knees in every shape and form. The country has been reduced to basket case through officialized corruption, where the entire state infrastructure is under attack from politically immune powerful criminals and their middlemen. This is a country with a fractured health system, a dilapidated road and rail network, a crashed education system, and a third of its working age doing menial jobs outside its borders. And the summit, which will leave the democracies of 16 nations in the hands of a failing Harare dictatorship, is a grave miscalculation on the part of all its attendees and the rest of the people of the Southern Africa, who for the next 12 months will labor under the mediocrity of its uncreative and defensive Harare establishment. Dambera Sadc will ignore its own fact-finding mechanism to enhance peaceful political transition in Southern African countries through credible elections, which conform to a single regional standard. The summit is now in the eyes of most Zimbabweans and convergence of hypocrites who indicate left and turn right, defending tyranny instead of progressive, peaceful political transition underpinned by democratic elections. As the National Democratic Working Group encourages all persons who feel betrayed by the Sadc organization to register their protests on its member states at the opportune 44th Sadc meeting, whichever way they conceive to be effective, provided such actions are peaceful and within the law. And the National Democratic Working Group reiterates that the demonstrations are lawful and freedom of expression is a constitutional right that must be used to defend our rights as enshrined in the Constitution and under international law. And Ramberi, the NDWG calls on the police and security services to appropriately assist all persons who wish to demonstrate against this Sadc gathering and to express themselves during the summit. It will be in the interest of the public order and public safety for the police to have an active role in facilitating the movement of the protesters during such demonstrations. And the National Democratic Working Group calls on the police to refrain from barbaric acts, use of force, and wanton arresting of citizens exercising their democratic rights in a free, independent, and sovereign country. A non-partisan, able, willing, and efficient police will assist the protesters to deliver their messages peacefully to the Sadc leaders without incident. Those are Buddha Vichorwa, the Job Sikhala led party, the National Democratic Working Group, muri Zimbabwe. Tisingaziye kuti muriona sei nyaya iyi. Taura kwatiri azinomira mushe ZANU-PF and President Emerson Mnangagwa vakataurayo vachiti they're going to take action. Kuna anyone achawanikwa achipinda mstreet for ma-protests muri Zimbabwe. Tisingaziye kuti vichabudirira here kana kuti because mamira zvakaita President is urging Zimbabweans kuti vawanikwe vachimaintaina peace during the Sadc summit muri Zimbabwe. Kungatemba muliswa kwakabudo zvakare achipa warning kuvanhu vachada kupinda mustreet akabuda achitaura iye achiti the police is going to use maximum force zvinzi panogona kungofa vanhu, so vanhu ndavaiti stay away from ma-protest ma-unrest. Singazive kuti this one yarongwa the NDWG chawanikwa ichibudirira here kana kuti ndofunga Job Sikhala na Ngari Vume vakabuda achitaura vachiti they are ready to lead the people. Hanzi vanhu vakatada ma-protest ana Job Sikhala they are ready kuenda pamberi vachifambira nyaya dzacho. Tisingazive kuti vachange varipo here pa-protest iyi kana kuti tiudziwe zvamuri kufunga pamusoro penyaya iyi mu-comment section.
Well, it's pure malice. It's almost a calendar year since we had elections, and they were finished and done with. And they've had almost 365 days to have been marching if they wanted to march. Now they want to march when we've got visitors. Is this about the issue, or it is about creating a certain image which is false about our country? When the elections came and went, they had 7 days within which to legally pursue recourse on the announced result, which was to go into the courts of law. But we never saw any opposition leader going into any court. We never saw any opposition member trying to take the election announcement and the election result to the court of law, which is the proper process. Courts are not decided, elections are not decided in the streets, they're decided in the ballot and contested in the courts. So anything that they're trying to do is not about any state of affairs within Zimbabwe. It's about simply trying to continue to embarrass the image of this country, which will also negatively impact them and their peers, them and their families. But this devil-may-care attitude by the opposition and some of the elements within it, this mercenary attitude where people do not care about the image of their country, where people do not care about how these actions will negatively impact the whole, is very, very sad and will not continue to be tolerated. If they're going to march, we hope they will have applied to the police, they would have gotten approval from the police. If not, and they're going to march on their own without any permission, then I feel certain pity for them, because the law will definitely take its course.